Good evening and welcome to a special programme live here in Folkestone as we mark Prince Harry coming down to dedicate Folkestone's new step-short arch, a permanent memorial to the town's crucial role in World War I.
This site is very special. Folkestone was the port from which millions of servicemen made their journey to the harbour, to France, to the trenches of the Western Front.
10 million people came through Folkestone, going to and returning from the Western Front, changing the town forever. And the impact still being felt today, with many of you joining in events across the southeast. Good evening and welcome to Southeast today for a special live programme here in Folkestone. It's been a special day for the town because today Prince Harry has come down to dedicate this, the memorial arch, the only new permanent memorial to the First World War in this, the centenary year. Today is the 100th anniversary of the day that the First World War broke out. And this arch has been paid for by a whole group of different campaigners led by the Step Short campaign. Step Short being the order given to troops just at the moment when they had to march in short order down the steep slope to Folkestone Harbour. 10 million journeys were made between Folkestone and France during the course of the First World War as men, munitions and animals were taken to and from the Western Front. Well, as well as the dedication by Prince Harry, thousands of people were here to see that and the parade leading down to the harbour today and to see the Prince lay a wreath to remember those that gave their lives in the First World War. Peter Whittlesey reports on what's been an emotional day for the town.
Quick, march!
Leading the way, the band of the Brigade of Gurkhas starting the centenary commemorations. Today, Prince Harry had a dual role, officially opening the sweeping arch, a memorial to the many millions who left from here to the Western Front, and laying a wreath to those who never returned. The crowds were excited to see His Royal Highness, but mindful this occasion was about marking the part Folkestone played in the Great War.
I think that on occasions like this, one should look to the people who served in the war and who lost their lives.
It means a great deal. It does mean a great deal. We are, as a family, we are passionately fond of anything to do with World War I because of our father's part in it.
It's very important that this memorial is going to be here as a permanent memory and that people remember what they stood for.
Corporal Alex Downs from Crawley was marching with his great-grandfather's First World War medals. For him, today's event was a personal journey.
I was fortunate enough to meet my great-granddad when I was very, very little. To be here today, remember everyone that served and all those that lost their lives in the conflict that took part over in France. To be here parading today is just a fantastic honour, and especially for myself to have his medals with me on this day.
As they marched down the road of remembrance, as 100 years ago the order was to step short, a command given to stop the servicemen slipping in their hobnailed boots on this steep slope. Until today, this simple cairn was the only permanent memorial to the tens of thousands of men who left Folkestone for France. It was made from the granite that paved this road down to the harbour and bears the inscription by Tennyson, "The path of duty was the way to glory." For those who set up the Step Short charity, today's commemorations have been the climax of 4 years' work.
We wanted to commemorate all the millions of men and women who passed through Folkestone 100 years ago, but we didn't have any dream of this ever happening, and we've become a national project.
As Prince Harry left, there was a sense of pride that at last the town had paid tribute to its crucial role in the past. Peter Whittlesey, BBC South East Today, Folkestone.
So it has been an emotional day here in Folkestone. Well, let's have a chat now with a couple of people who've been intimately involved with getting everything organised for this. Philip Gearing, you are actually been involved with the Step Short campaign for a long time now and designed this extraordinary structure, this magnificent arch.
Yes, it's in place. After all these years, it used to exist on my computer screen, and now I can delete all of those files and look at it in the flesh.
Are you pleased with how it's come out? Because it is magnificent. Stainless steel, and it's got all these lights that are inside it that we won't see until it gets dark later on. I think it looks quite spectacular, but are you pleased with how it's come out?
Yeah, it's made of duplex stainless steel, which means that it should last for at least 200 years before it needs to be cleaned, although the seagulls are having a good go at that. But yeah, I'm also pleased, not just with the arch, but with the landscaping around it. I love the plaques, I love the information. And I saw a little boy today sitting down there by USA, and he said, his mum said, "So where's this country?" He said, "USA." And then he traced it with his fingers. USA, that's America. And I want kids to come and enjoy this arch for what it is, and just enjoy the air, the environment for what it is.
Philip, thank you very much. And let's have a chat now as well with Anne Berry. Now, Anne, you have been involved with the Step Short campaign all the way through as well. How emotionally important has today been for you?
Tremendously. It's the centenary, and millions of men passed through Folkestone and 1 million never came back. So it's hugely poignant that we should remember all of that. And obviously they left families behind, mothers and children, and the loss of life must have been horrendous for those people left in this country to survive.
Thousands of people came out today to actually watch the parade and the dedication, didn't they? It was very extraordinary.
It was wonderful. We had 1,000 marching, we had the tri-services, and we had a civilian march, and lots of people on the leads, all enjoying it. And we had interviewers asking people how they felt about it, and children were amazing. One child asked.
I'm glad it's all gone so well. Unfortunately, we'll have to leave it there, okay. But thank you very much for being with us this evening. We will be returning back here to the Arch in just a few moments' time, when we're going to be taking a more in-depth look at the role that Folkestone played in the First World War. Polly.
Thanks, Rob. And you've been sending us pictures from the Folkestone commemorations during the day. Megan Roberts sent us this picture of the Memorial Arch in sunshine, and Prince Harry meeting dignitaries earlier on. Chris Jarvis sent us this picture of veterans on the Leas in Folkestone this morning. And Julie Stanley from Dover sent us this photograph of Prince Harry alongside the local MP, Damien Collins. Well, that is it from me here in the studio. We're going to cross back to Folkestone now. And Rob.
Polly, thank you very much. And we're still under the arch here, but I just want to point out the fact that in the stonework under the arch here is a huge compass rose which bears the names of many of the nations that took part in the First World War, including some surprising ones such as Nepal and India and Russia and Serbia. Let's have a chat with somebody who's been intimately involved with the whole campaign right the way through, which is the MP for Folkestone and Hythe, Damien Collins. Damien Collins, thank you very much for being with us. You're not just the MP, you're also the chairman of Step Short, and you were there right at the very beginning 6 or 7 years ago.
That's right, and when we started off on the journey, we wanted to tell the story of Folkestone's role during the war. And the centenary of the outbreak of the war seemed to be the perfect opportunity to do that. So the Step Short project has involved a number of exhibitions and events, some run in Folkestone in the summer. But of course here at the Arch site as well, we're looking to tell the story of the millions of men who came through this Arch site.
And not just the men, the women as well.
Absolutely right. I mean, the women played a vital role throughout the war effort, not only working in factories, but supporting soldiers at the front line, working as nurses. And we wanted their story to be remembered too. The Arch is not just a war memorial. It doesn't just commemorate those who made the ultimate sacrifice. It is there to remember all who served in whatever capacity during the war.
And on a personal note, because you've been involved with this for so long, what was it like for it all to come together today?
Well, I think it was it was a day to remember. I mean, to remember those who served in the war, but also a day for Folkestone to remember. And I think a huge number of people who are involved in this project can be very proud of it.
Damien, thank you very much for being with us this evening. And let's have a chat with a couple of the people who've been involved in doing stuff in rather a different way today. These ladies and gentlemen here are part of a living history group. Now, Chris Bingham? Chris Bingham, so you're a private in the Royal West Kent Regiment.
I am, yes. Basically, I do it to keep the memory alive of members of my family who fought and served in the First World War. And so I'd like to say that it's a magnificent arch is helping to keep their memory alive, because I'm stepping actually in the footsteps they stepped before they went to war.
And Janet Breen, Was it quite an emotional day for you today, being involved in all of this?
Absolutely. I've been looking forward to it for a very long time. We've been doing it for a few years, and to be involved in this beautiful monument, bringing the history back, creating 100 years, remembering those fallen in Great War. Absolutely, I'm honoured to be here today.
Janet, thank you ever so much. Well, Folkestone, of course, has changed an awful lot over the course of the years, and back in 1914, at the outbreak of war, it was a very glamorous place to be. The Leas here was regarded as being one of the most wealthy and prestigious holiday resorts, not just in Britain, but actually in the whole of Europe. But within months of the outbreak of war, all that changed. The whole town became an enormous army billet. Many of the grand hotels turned into barracks for soldiers and hospitals and so forth. It was an extraordinary logistical effort. Sarah Smith has been taking a look at the impact of the war on the town.
On their way to the front line, their last glimpse of friendly territory, a seaside town which, like the lives of those who came through here, would be changed forever.
That summer of 1914, before war was declared, it was a lovely summer, and as over the past 10-15 years, Folkestone was very popular with the middle and upper class tourist trade. This was the place to be. This was the place to be seen, promenading.
The coming years brought dramatic change. The large houses and hotels requisitioned as hospitals and rest camps. The lawns of the Leas churned up under thousands of army boots.
Suddenly the volume of traffic on its own must have escalated beyond any kind of recognition, with troops, hundreds of thousands, literally hundreds of thousands of troops marching through Folkestone out to be dispersed to the continent, and also obviously troops coming back.
Folkestone had been a garrison town for 200 years, but this was on a different scale. Men came from across the empire, answering the call from the mother country to fight.
One imagines that the British Army had a big map, and Folkestone was pretty much dead centre in it in terms of getting the army to where it was required.
The town welcomed the new arrivals, especially the biggest influx, the Canadians, many of whom were billeted in local homes. But after the war, Folkestone would never be the same. Times had changed.
We never went back to the posh frocks and the masses of people wandering along the Leas.
But there does remain, on a hill overlooking the sea, a constant reminder of those men from across the world who never made it home. Sarah Smith, BBC South East Today, Folkestone.
Well, now we've just moved location very slightly from where the arch is just over there to the top of what used to be called Slope Road. You can see it's quite a steep hill that leads down to the harbour side. Originally, back in the First World War, it was covered in granite cobbles or setts, and the original sets have been used to actually make one of the earlier memorials back in the 1920s. But you'll also notice here along the railings, all along the railings coming up the hill, are hundreds and hundreds, thousands in fact, of hand-knitted poppies. Rather extraordinary, quite touching and moving in a strange kind of way, because each one of them tells a slightly different story. How did they get to be here? Well, let's have a chat with Di Burns, who's actually organised this whole knitted poppy campaign. Di, you live in Folkestone, don't you?
Yes, I do.
So where did this idea come from? Why did you start it?
Well, it originally started from when I was doing some research about my great-grandfather who fought in the First World War, and by some coincidence, I realised that he must have left from Folkestone. So about 4 years ago, I started to crochet some poppies just as a small token, and then it just grew from there. Everybody wanted to get involved.
And when you say everybody, I mean you've had poppies from all over the world.
Exactly, yeah. Because I run a network called Pearl Queens on Facebook, we generated the information through that and got people from the Netherlands, France, America, all sending in poppies for us to install here.
And you want people to carry on, don't you? Cover the whole railing.
Yeah, for sure, exactly, all the way down onto the harbour itself.
Well, Di, it's a great campaign, and if people want to get involved, how can they do it?
They can find out, they can email me and pearlqueens@gmail.com, and we can give them further information and patterns.
Lovely. Di, thank you very much for being with us. Well, of course, as the parade moved off earlier on today from the arch and down to the Slope Road, they would have passed all these poppies here and on to the harbour, where a whole series of other special events have been going on during the course of today. Charlie Rose reports on the people who've been taking part in those.
Gathered to remember on a day they will never forget.
It's a mix of commemorating and watching English traditions because it's a great show. And we also like Prince Harry.
I was trying to get him to take attention of my 18-year-old daughter, because now he's single. I could be his mother-in-law, couldn't I, really?
Any success with that?
No, he did look round, he was a bit shocked as we screamed, "Harry, take her!"
What was he wearing?
A fancy costume.
A fancy costume?
Yeah.
And a hat, wasn't he?
Yeah. A cute hat.
A cute hat.
They were thrilled to see His Royal Highness Prince Harry, who got raucous applause wherever he went. And one or two bunches of flowers and proposals of marriage I heard shouted from the crowd.
And for many, an important day, as hundreds of balloons were released into the sky, each carrying the name of a fallen soldier.
It was from here that 6 million men embarked for the continent, not knowing how long they'd be there, and many of them, of course, not knowing that they wouldn't return. So it's been, I think, a very proud day, but also a very evocative day.
And for the people of Folkestone, it's the day Prince Harry helped them mark 100 years since Britain joined World War I. Charlie Rose, BBC South East Today, Folkestone.
Well, the arch there, of course, is lit by the sun at the moment. As the sun goes down, it will reveal yet one more surprise, which is that on the inside edge of the arch, there are 100 diamond lights that refract the light and will be shining into the darkness. And tonight, of course, there is the Lights Out campaign, where the British Legion is encouraging everybody to turn off everything except for one light in their house between 10 and 11. We'll be back with our late news at 10:25 to report on that. For now, we'll leave you here in Folkestone.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them